How's it going? My name is Michael Nees. Let me show you around my 80 real quick. So my wife got me into Land Cruisers because her abuela had one when she was younger. So this is what I ended up with. The goal was to be self-sufficient. So the vehicle would encompass everything that I needed to be out there in the middle of nowhere and not need to call upon anyone for help unless it was catastrophic. One of the key things that I really wanted was a bumper, but I wanted it to be unique. So this one actually it's a modular bumper made by a company called DC Fabrication. I waited till these things went on sale, bought it, got it shipped, and then all of a sudden the company was gone. The other key point for the bumper was to be able to fit the winch inside. So I have a 17,000 pound winch. Overkill, yes. Can I get myself and others out? For sure. And on top of the springs actually have a 20 millimeter spacer in the front, and believe it or not, found a 50 millimeter spacer for the rear springs to kind of give it a little higher look. I know people try to get rid of that kind of stink bug of the 80 series, but I like it because when I overload the rear with gear, then it levels it out. The suspension allows me to put on some 35-inch tires, and I believe that's the highest I'm ever going to go because it allows for full articulation without like stuffing into the wheel well.
Don't turn passenger yet, just keep going driver. There you go. Okay, now turn passenger. Passenger, 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 passenger. Good, holding that position, take it out. Take it out,
35s, they've gotten through everything. Haven't gotten stuck yet, and I think some of the crew and people on this trip can kind of attest to that. These are sliders by Slee. I know, very established company. Notice the glass missing. I know one of the iconic features of the 80 series, it has that sliding glass window, but I needed a little more utility having put the rear bumper on there. So what this does, it's by Yodatech, opens up, flips up. I'm able to get inside. You got the MOLLE panel to mount things on. Basically got first aid kit, some zip ties because you always need zip ties, and this is my air chucks and other air up gear. All right, moving around to the back. So you got the swing out tire carrier. So this was made by a guy down in Bealton, Virginia by the name of Ryan. He owns Otram. This has all my recovery gear in here, easily accessible. Just take these locks off when I'm on the trail. So if anything happens, just pop this up. It's got bottle jacks, tree straps, everything, anything you can need. So again, with safety, double latch, release the safety latch, open it up, and then swing out the two. That'll catch. Got the factory tow bar here just in case. Shackle always stays. This is actually the skid plate for it, but it's a 42-gallon auxiliary fuel tank by Long Ranger out of Australia. And I can actually transfer fuel on the fly from that tank to the main tank. Another thing that came straight from Australia, because I thought it was pertinent, was this drifter drawer system. What I like about this, and the selling point for it was, and why I went through all the trouble to get it, is they have kind of a built-in table. You can use it as a shelf as you're preparing, or you can fully take it out, pop out the legs, put it on the ground, and you got a table. So it's been very useful on this trip for preparing meals. Pop that out, excuse me. Then you got the Dometic sitting on here. It's got a little light. You can get into everything, see it at night. When you're done, just pop that back. So up in the ceiling, this is the kind of do-it-yourself, bent the brackets up in a vise in the garage. This is a little rack from like your home store like Home Depot or Lowe's. I think you can even get these things from IKEA, these racks, and you can just install those on your own with some fasteners and a good vise. All right, so a lot of electrical work going on in here. This was a last minute addition for this trip. It's a 2000 watt Kisei pure sine wave inverter. So got that to run and recharge laptops, batteries, things like that. Your panel here, so this will switch everything on and off. That needs power back here. This shuts on the air compressor. And again, all controlled from the back panel. And in here, you can easily access any of the key elements of the system, your fuses, your connection points. So this is a guy out of California, created this aluminum hatch system. Kind of gives me some space in the tailgate that it is otherwise unused. So this is like the knick-knack drawer in your kitchen. It's kind of just has everything thrown in there, but just more space. I like storage. RhinoRack, another frenzied quick buy for this trip, and funny story, hasn't been open yet. So I guess either tomorrow morning or another trip we'll actually test it out and see how it goes. Top of this, which it's mounted to, is the Prinsu low profile roof rack for the 80 series. So that actually provided a nice mounting point and actually uses Prinsu's awning brackets that kind of makes it easy for one person to install. So before we go inside, let's look at this. So this snorkel actually helped me with a lot of the electrical, because the electrical required drilling into the vehicle. So what a better place to start than a snorkel, where you have to drill over a 3-inch diameter hole to get this in to the engine bay. So this is a safari snorkel. So I always like to use the example of the short little right-hand turn up a hill. Before I put the supercharger on it, the car would slow down to almost a stop, and I would kind of have to floor the gas to just get up this little incline. Now it takes it no problem. If I'm rolling down the road at 30 miles an hour, I can take it without even slowing down. Fortunately, a guy on the I Hate Mud forum kind of got a bunch of us together, and Magnuson agreed to do another run. So we were able to get them installed. Again, good guy Ryan down at Otrem in Bealton, Virginia, got the supercharger installed for me. And it's mated with a nice closed intercooler system to help out keeping the temperatures down. So the other benefit about the 80 is that sold in different markets, the battery was on different sides, whether it was diesel, petrol, whatever you have it, you can get stock parts for it. So dual battery system, 2 AGM batteries on either side of the engine compartment. All this wiring I built out myself. So again, self-sufficient, want to be able to handle everything on my own. And just as safety, because I'm very paranoid, I got everything is fused. And managing the dual battery system, I have one of the Blue Sea ML ACRs. So it automatically monitor the house battery and switch it as needed. And if I need to do a manual jump, I can jump the starting battery off of the house battery. So also in the engine bay, we got everything that you have to do when you put a snorkel on, because putting a snorkel on doesn't alone let you have the ability to ford water or rivers, whatever it is. So you got the diff breather resituated up into the engine bay, and this is teed with the front diff and the transfer case, and likewise the rear diff goes up into the rear hatch. One of, in my mind, the most important things that goes along with safety and electronics, because I had this issue from a previous owner's bad installation of a inferior wire, which grounded out, caused a fire, lost a lot of the underside of my dash, so I spent 3 months replacing it. So this all culminates in, you should really carry a fire extinguisher that's easily accessible, and mine is right under my feet at the seat. So that mount is actually provided by Joey from Wits End, and it mounts right up to where the seat secures to the body of the vehicle. And then you just buy whatever fire extinguisher you want and can mount it to that bracket. Communications, CB radio, and I use mostly for information, getting to and from work. I work in the DC area, so truckers are always on there letting each other know what's going on, so I can kind of listen into that. Revamped the whole stereo system, got a Kenwood unit, replaced the speakers all around with things that actually work pretty well. And to mate up with that, there's actually a sub under this seat Alpine system that works pretty well. Okay, so right here we have the control switch for the Blue Sea MLACR system. So I can completely isolate batteries or join them together. Right next to that, we have the fuel transfer switch for the pump that'll push fuel from the auxiliary tank into the main tank. And this was a nice little feature. 80s owners will know what this is, but this is basically an accelerator lock. You pull it towards you, you can lock it in place. It'll give you higher RPMs to kind of feed more power to your batteries if you're winching from the alternator. A bunch of RAM mounts. situated so I can have my media. This tablet actually runs a GPS monitor, and then I have my Gaia app so I can follow along with the Mountain State Overland guys as we go on our route. Just do some route tracking so I can kind of look at it at home and replan new trips based upon my experiences here. So looking forward to that as well. In here, we got a bunch of nonsense, but the key feature is under the mat where you have a security box. So if you got any valuables, just lock it away. No one's the wiser. CT, I bet you didn't even know that was there.
I did not know that.
Now, if you look under here by the passenger seat, you see a huge switch. So again, to go with safety and being overcautious, this is a cutoff for those huge power lines that go into the back of the vehicle. So right now they're on because it's keeping the Dometic fridge running, some other things running, but I can easily just switch it off and there's no more power coming into the cab of the vehicle. This is my FZJ80. Thanks for taking a look at what I've built. I'd say stay tuned, but I don't know when I'm going to do the next project because I think I'm just going to sit here and enjoy it for a bit and take more of these excursions.
Trust